How close can you actually get to the North Korean border in your own car? We spent a few days driving our Australian Troopy along the edge of the DMZ to find out. We expected high security walls, but found something much more human. From military checkpoints and special permits on the east coast to an unexpected surprise in the west. This turned out to be one of the most surreal places we've ever visited.
Seeing it here is mind-blowing.
We are Joseph, Martijn and our dog Buddy. We have left the grind behind to embrace the freedom of life on the road. After 2 years traveling Australia, we are now exploring South Korea. As we headed north, the atmosphere quickly began to change. The closer we got to the border, the more military vehicles we started to see. We were entering the DMZ, the 250-kilometer long buffer zone that has separated North and South Korea since the Korean War. And before we could continue, there was one more thing we needed to do. Before we could drive any closer to North Korea, there was one more hurdle. A checkpoint where we had to register and obtain permits to continue. We are here at the checkpoint for the demilitarization zone, and we had to fill in a lot of paperwork and even show our passport, so it feels like we are going to cross the border.
Nerve-wracking.
Very official. With our permits approved, we crossed the final checkpoint. From here on, we were officially inside the restricted border zone.
We just crossed the checkpoint, and it took a while, and then what they did is they checked our WhatsApp, and then they asked us to send a message, and for only 4 hours to stay around, and we have this special permission and also a guidelines.
Tents like big guns and quite a lot of scrutiny, but they all wish this a very nice day today, so it's going to be all good in here. But yeah, you can see it's pretty serious here.
Yeah, we feel like we already crossed North Korea.
Yeah. The good news is we didn't have any export documents for Woody. Hey Woody! After passing the checkpoints, we arrived at the observation center. Just beyond the fence lay one of the world's most isolated countries. Then came the moment we'd been waiting for. Through the binoculars, North Korea finally came into view. Even today, the danger hasn't completely disappeared. Heavy rainfall can expose buried landmines, which then are located and safely cleared by military teams. The rugged coastline stretched for kilometers, quiet and untouched. If it weren't for the military presence, you'd never guess one of the world's most heavily fortified borders was just nearby. Before leaving, we made a quick stop at the Korean War Memorial. It was a reminder that the tension along this border isn't just history, it's part of everyday life here.
It feels surreal that we are actually driving at the south and north border of Korea.
It even feels like we crossed the border with the amount of checks and passport control and military presence everywhere. It's pretty impressive. And it's there's a little museum in there as well. kind of heartbreaking to understand that this South Korea became an island over time. It was part of a large country, and now it became kind of tiny, more smaller land, and basically became an island now. But there's still 70 years of provocations, but also 70 years of trying to reconcile. But so far, not much success booked. Yeah, it's pretty impressive to be as close as we are now in North Korea.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
After a day at the border, we were ready for a change of pace. We spent the night near Nami Island, giving Buddy some space to run. The east coast gave us a look at the military site, but to see the propaganda village, we had to drive all the way to the western side of the DMZ.
What are you cooking?
We're gonna have hamburgers. We got American hamburgers from our camp host last night. Then cook them up, some salads, and we found some fries. I have to do it in a pan though, because no more ninja foodie, so let's see if it's gonna be as good.
Another day here in South Korea. What we up to?
We are heading to the famous Starbucks, which is like another observatory place at the Peace Park on the west coast. We already did the east coast lookout, but definitely looking forward to this one. This is going to be a very different experience. We already see a lot of military presence on the road. We have been going along the border from the east coast to the west coast. And yeah, it's still very unreal to drive along the most secured border in the world, which is pretty insane. Just like on the east coast, we first had to complete another round of registration before entering the restricted border area.
This area here is Eco Park. That means you can't bring your pet. So what we did is we leave Buddy in a car park.
We found a place in the shade, and you can walk or you can take a shuttle bus. We of course missed it twice. We walk up and down, but Buddy should be okay.
It's a nice walk though. It's lush greenery, lots of trees, and a lot of flies. Okay, that failed.
You can practice our Australian ways.
Yeah.
Our first stop was the visitor center, where monuments and memorials serve as a reminder of the Korean Peninsula's divided history. For many visitors, places like this are a chance to learn about the history. But for Koreans, the division is much more personal. Millions of families were separated during the war, and many never saw their relatives again. How is it to sip on an American coffee looking to North Korea?
I won't dive into that one, but I do love the coffee, but sitting here is crazy to think that the world is like this way, that we are on the other side enjoying it, and on the other side of the border, nobody knows what is going on there because it's the most isolated place in the world, and seeing it here is mind-blowing.
From here we could see one of the most famous sites along the border, the so-called propaganda village on the North Korean side. Officially known as Gyeongdong, it was built in the 1950s and became a symbol of the division between North and South Korea. For decades there has been a debate of how much of the village represents normal life and how much was designed to project an image to the outside world. But what caught our attention was not the buildings or the famous flagpole, it was the people. We could actually see people working on the land, walking through the fields and using bicycles with no motorized vehicles inside. From this distance we can't know what everyday life is really like there, but seeing people farming made it feel less like a political symbol and more like a real place where people continue their daily lives. Looking across this landscape, it is difficult to imagine that two countries with such a shared history could end up on such different paths.
It's crazy to think that we live in this world, and on the other side of that 1.5 kilometer fence is totally different, isolated, and we don't know. They might live like totally different way as what we do think, or maybe for them it's not.
We are here at the observatory where the Starbucks is, finally. Big ticket item. I felt like it can't be that impressive, but actually it is, even after yesterday when we were on the East Coast. It's a highly secured environment again, but here you can actually see on the other side, there's a propaganda village. You can see people working on the land, and you see actually the guards working along the coast area, so very impressive to see. I think it's more impactful than I would have thought. Yeah, it's crazy to see also the stories about people that got divided 70 years ago, families split up. So very sad as well. There's a lot of peace talks going on and also a lot of provocations in the last 70 years. So there's not a clear outlook on reuniting the two countries into one again. But yeah, definitely impressive to see this, and a glimpse into the world there looks very different than this side, that's definitely clear. The DMZ is not just a border, it's a reminder of conflict that started more than 70 years ago, but is still part of everyday life on the Korean peninsula today.